Recent chaos in Camden County shows exactly why some officials are calling parts of the Garden State increasingly difficult to govern. What we're seeing isn't just isolated incidents of teenage misbehavior, it's a complete breakdown of public order that's forcing lawmakers to scramble for solutions. Calling any area ungovernable might sound dramatic, but when you have over 200 juveniles coordinating attacks on community events, overwhelming police forces from multiple agencies, and taking over businesses in broad daylight, you start to understand why this term is entering the conversation about certain New Jersey communities. Let me paint you a picture of what this actually looks like. It was a Saturday evening in Collingswood, Camden County. Families had gathered for what should have been a wholesome PTA-sponsored haunted hayride, the kind of community event that brings neighborhoods together. Instead, it became a case study in how quickly public order can collapse. Around 8 o'clock, something unprecedented happened. Multiple vehicles began strategically dropping off juveniles around the event's perimeter. This wasn't random teenage rebellion, this was coordinated. Over 200 young people had apparently planned this disruption, using what appears to be social media coordination to overwhelm a single location. The chaos unfolded in 3 distinct waves. First, the hayride itself was disrupted. Fights erupted at the main event as juveniles ran recklessly through crowds of families with small children. They cut lines, started confrontations, and created an atmosphere of fear and confusion. The organizers had no choice but to shut down the entire event. But that was just the beginning. About 50 to 70 juveniles descended on a nearby Wawa convenience store on Haddon Avenue. They didn't just enter the store, they took it over. Security footage would later show them stealing items, causing disturbances, and essentially claiming the space as their own. The staff was powerless to stop them, and the sheer number of participants made individual accountability nearly impossible. Meanwhile, the most disturbing scene was playing out on Browning Road, where an estimated 80 juveniles engaged in street fighting. Picture this: an entire residential street filled with young people throwing punches, while homeowners watched in terror from their windows. Some of the participants fled through residential backyards when police finally arrived, turning quiet suburban neighborhoods into escape routes. Collingswood Mayor Jim Maley's response reveals the depth of the problem. Despite calling in additional support from surrounding Camden County police agencies, local officials admitted they were just overwhelmed by the number of people and what was happening. When multiple police departments can't handle a situation involving juveniles, you're not dealing with typical teenage mischief anymore. The investigation that followed was telling. No arrests were made at the scene, not because the police didn't want to make them, but because the logistics of processing that many individuals while maintaining public safety was impossible. Instead, authorities had to resort to reviewing body camera footage, surveillance video, and social media posts after the fact, hoping to identify participants through digital detective work. This incident in Collingswood represents a troubling pattern emerging across New Jersey. The traditional tools of local governance, police response, community events, business security are proving inadequate against coordinated youth disruption that leverages social media for planning and overwhelming numbers for execution. What makes a community ungovernable isn't necessarily the presence of crime or social problems. Every municipality deals with those challenges. It's when the systems designed to maintain order consistently fail to function effectively. It's when police departments regularly find themselves overwhelmed. It's when community events can't operate safely. It's when businesses become targets not for profit, but for disruption. The response from New Jersey lawmakers tells us this isn't an isolated problem. 3 bills were introduced specifically to crack down on unruly teen behavior, indicating that legislators recognize a pattern of incidents across the state. You don't pass legislation targeting specific types of youth behavior unless it's become a widespread issue that local authorities can't handle through existing means. These bills represent an admission that traditional juvenile justice approaches aren't working in certain areas. When state lawmakers feel compelled to create new legal frameworks specifically for teen disorder, they're essentially acknowledging that some communities have lost the ability to maintain order through conventional governance. The strategic nature of the Collingswood incident reveals something particularly troubling about modern breakdowns in public order. This wasn't spontaneous youth energy getting out of hand. The coordinated vehicle drop-offs suggest planning. The simultaneous targeting of multiple locations suggests tactical thinking. The use of social media for coordination suggests a level of organization that traditional law enforcement protocols aren't designed to handle. Consider the implications for local governance. How do you police a flash mob that can materialize anywhere in your jurisdiction with little warning? How do you protect local businesses when they can be overwhelmed by dozens of individuals at once? How do you maintain public safety when your police force can be outnumbered and outmaneuvered by coordinated civilian action? The economic impact extends far beyond immediate property damage or theft. When community events get shut down, local businesses lose revenue. When stores become targets for takeovers, insurance costs rise. When residential neighborhoods become staging areas for conflicts, property values decline. When police departments consistently get overwhelmed, public confidence in local government erodes. The Wawa incident exemplifies how these situations differ from traditional crime. In a normal robbery or shoplifting incident, you have individual actors who can be identified, pursued, and prosecuted. When 50 people simultaneously take over a store, the legal system struggles to respond. You can't arrest 50 people at once. You can't prosecute 50 people for the same incident efficiently. You can't deter future incidents when the perpetrators know the system can't handle mass coordination. This creates a feedback loop that makes communities increasingly difficult to govern. Each successful incident of coordinated disruption demonstrates to other young people that they can overwhelm local authority. Social media amplifies these demonstrations, spreading tactics and building confidence among potential participants. Law enforcement becomes increasingly defensive and reactive rather than proactive. The residential component of the Collingswood incident, juveniles fighting in the streets and fleeing through backyards, represents another troubling dimension. When public disorder spills into private residential areas, it signals that the boundaries between public and private space are breaking down. Homeowners become unwilling participants in conflicts they didn't create and can't control. The admission that police were overwhelmed despite additional support reveals something critical. It's not necessarily that these areas lack police resources or community support. Collingswood is a well-established suburban community with functioning local government. But when coordinated disruption exceeds the capacity of local systems to respond effectively, even well-governed areas can become temporarily ungovernable. The after-the-fact investigation approach, reviewing footage and social media rather than making immediate arrests, represents a fundamental shift in how law enforcement must operate in these situations. Traditional policing relies on immediate response and consequence. When immediate response becomes impossible due to scale, the entire deterrent effect of law enforcement breaks down. This pattern extends beyond New Jersey to other areas facing similar challenges. The coordination of disruption through social media, the overwhelming of local resources through sheer numbers, and the tactical use of multiple simultaneous targets are becoming common features of these incidents nationwide. The PTA sponsorship of the original Collingswood event adds another layer to this story. Community organizations are finding that their efforts to create positive youth engagement are being turned against them. The very events designed to provide safe, supervised activities for young people become targets for coordinated disruption by other youth. This creates a devastating cycle for community building. As community events get shut down due to security concerns, fewer positive outlets exist for youth energy. As fewer positive outlets exist, more young people may be drawn toward disruptive activities. As disruptive activities increase, more community events get cancelled. The social fabric that holds communities together begins to unravel. The strategic timing of the vehicle drop-offs at 8 p.m. shows sophisticated planning. This wasn't random convergence. Someone thought about optimal timing for maximum impact, with minimal initial police presence. This level of tactical thinking in coordinated youth disruption represents a new challenge for local governance that traditional policing methods aren't equipped to handle. What we're witnessing in New Jersey is a fundamental shift in how public order is maintained or lost. The tools that worked for previous generations of local governance are proving inadequate against coordinated, social media-enabled mass disruption. Until new approaches are developed that can effectively address the scale and coordination of these incidents, more communities may find themselves facing similar crises. The Collingswood incident serves as a warning for communities across not just New Jersey, but the entire country. When traditional governance structures meet modern coordination capabilities, the result can be chaos that overwhelms even well-prepared local authorities. Understanding this dynamic is crucial for anyone interested in how local government actually functions in the digital age.